Hi guys, it's 7:25:12 at 11 o'clock in the morning. I just want to do a little video this morning. I've noticed since the Colorado incident last Friday that there's been some wild things going down, and it's almost like a fork in the road. Uh, those of us that are holding the higher vibrations and choosing to work on our inner self, stay in our heart, uh, we're experiencing some really interesting things as those people who we've loved and cared for so long are seeming to drop by the wayside. And this happens again. It's almost like for years they listened to what we had to say and tolerated those things that we said were our truths and our reality, and they did not accept it. My best friend's wife used to call it the world according to Bill. Which I guess it is, because I'm in my heart. It's my own little world out there, and that's exactly what it is. But those of us that are on the spiritual ascension path, choosing uh, to relieve ourselves of the karma and of the duality show going on, and raising our frequency and holding the highest possible love and light we can. We're focusing on our spiritual selves, and the 3D world and all the materialism, all the things really just don't matter to us anymore. And those that are in their heads and living in their ego, their worlds are falling apart, and they don't seem to have all the stuff, and we're not giving away our time and just doing for them anymore. Many of us who are in the positions of holding the highest light have been taken for granted and used and abused, neglected by those who we loved and always have loved, always will love, but who have been close to us in our lives, and who have really just kind of sucked the life out of us, and actually turned to us and said that we were the ones who was doing that to them. Kind of interesting how, as you really become more awake and aware, how that scenario becomes more enlightened as to what truths are. It's interesting to see the final throes, the death throes of the Illuminati, as they know they're coming down. In fact, today, here in Phoenix, we have the first chemtrails in quite some time going down. As I did the last video on the Illuminati and the Olympics, and that they might be doing a false flag there, and my feeling was it was going to be a nuclear event. So many other people are saying it's going to be a Project Bluebook, holographic alien invasion. And now, after not having chemtrails in chemtrails, the barium and the strontium in the chemtrails allows for the laser beams, which are in the upper atmosphere or in space, that's synchronistically aligned with Earth, meaning as the Earth turns, they stay straight on, which would be needed for a holographic event like a laser light show. There's many of us that have known for a long time that they were going to do, or that on their plans was to do an alien invasion. or a second coming of Jesus. Jesus coming down from the clouds, Maitreya coming down from the clouds. Which the funny thing about that is these guys are in higher vibration. Why would they, once they've ascended, want to lower their frequencies, where Galactic Federation says it drives them nuts to be in these lower frequencies, and that's why the strongest of the strong are here on Earth right now. Because we volunteered to come down in these lower frequencies. The fifth dimensional and higher peoples, they don't want to come down and step down their vibrations to appear and remain in these frequencies longer than for seconds to give us messages, because it's uncomfortable, just like it's uncomfortable for those of us who are holding the higher vibrations in a lower vibrational Earth. It is not comfortable. Jesus is not coming to save you. Maitreya is not coming down to this 3D reality to do this. So with that in mind, with them not having sprayed chemtrails for so long, and then right as we're just starting to come up on the beginning of the London Olympics, where in London they have continued the spraying, according to my friends there. They have not even slowed in the spraying. Here in Phoenix, they've slowed. But here in these past, well, ever since the Venus transit, we've only had 4 days where I've seen chemtrails here in the Phoenix area, or even in northern Arizona while I was there. Now, as we're coming up to the Olympics, they're spraying it. It's the barium and strontium in the chemtrails that forms the projector screen for the lasers to hit and create a holographic image. That was always known about Project Bluebook. And it's looking like this might be what is going on. Very interesting how that is just now starting to manifest as we come up on the London Olympics. Well, back to that fork in the road. There's a lot of people who, many of us who are on the Ascension path, who've known it all our lives, who have grown up with others who have heard us speaking about this for so many years, and the others go, yeah, right, whatever you say, come play our 3D game with us. And anyway, those people who, many of them had fallen away in the past years as we were raising our frequency, just like always happens. The frequencies have to match, like attracts like, birds of a feather flock together. There's many of those that we have loved so dearly that have fallen away while we were raising our frequencies. And then sometimes they come back into our life for a while and say, well, why weren't you 3D? Why aren't you playing these games with us? Not hearing again what we have to say and going through their awakening process and doing their spiritual work. Thank goodness for Facebook, because I can make a post on an observation as that, and dozens of people, and sometimes hundreds of people, comment on it. And I realize that I'm not the only one going through these things. So that's quite interesting. So anyway, past few days I've felt another coming together of many of those people that were in our lives previously, while we were still trying to figure out if the Ascension thing was really real or not, which those of us on this path know it's really real and know that there's only one direction for us. With those other people who have come back into our lives and we test it again, and they say, well, why aren't you playing 3D games with us anymore? We miss you. Come back here. It's almost like a test for us and a final wake-up call for them. It seems like that is a separation. It's a further cutting of those cords of those people who we have loved, who we still love quite dearly, but who have chosen not to ascend because it's not their time, or at least not go through their process at this point in time. It seems like that there's a final cutting of those cords and those attachments of us to them, with our choice being vertical. There's no more linear for us, or for a lot of us anyway. For me anyway, I'm strict. I'm like a rocket taking off. So I just ain't got time for the BS. I ain't got, I'm not going to play the games. I'm going to speak my truth. I'm going to hold my ground. All those things that I've said for years and years and years are proving themselves to be right. I was getting the right messages. It's not an if, and, or but. Now it's a win. I do feel that there will be another wave wakening and going through their ascension process at the end of this year. Well, there is one that's waking and going through their ascension process now, beginning their activations and releasing their karmic attachments and turning inward, learning how to move and shift their consciousness from their head and the ego into the heart. And there'll be one final wave at the end of this year. Hopefully, those people who we've had to leave behind and we've loved so much and cared for so much will be on that train. But there's nothing, not a damn thing we can do to wake them up and to get them to realize it's going to have to come from them. So with that, we've got to just keep our focus. Or for me anyway, I've got to keep my focus. I know exactly the direction I'm headed. I know now that everything that I ever thought and believed ever since I was a child, all the messages that I've heard are reality. That's really a truth. And so that focus in that direction that I chose a long time ago to be on, that's what I've got to stay with. And it's even down to my own dear daughter. And, how can you continue when somebody that you care about so much is choosing to continue playing the 3D games, continuing to choose to party and intoxicate themselves and to remain focused on the duality and the material things. And there's nothing you can do about that. You have to love them and release them and realize that all souls who are incarnate are here for this, and it might not be at this particular time. It might not be this particular ascension cycle. And whatever they choose is okay for them. The releasing that we're going through right now is what we have to do for us. That is something that we have to do not only for ourselves and our own ascension, but to raise the frequencies of Mother Earth to the highest possible frequencies that Mother Earth can get to. And we are the ones that are doing it, along with what's going on with the solar flares. And now we've got a proton event going on. We had an X flare blast off at 90 degrees to the Earth from the sun, and the spiral, the wormhole that connects the magnetic vortex from the sun to Earth is catching those protons that were going off in that X flare, and we are still getting it here on Earth right now. And that's pretty neat how that works. But that's how fields interact. And so with that, this is going to get more intense. And even if the solar flares are not directed right at Earth like this one earlier in July was, we're still going to get hit with them pretty heavily. And that's just going to continue to raise the frequencies of the planet. And remember, light is what we are. And light is God, and light is information. And the photons, it's photons, photon blast. That photon is light and information. It's the God particles coming at us for our ascension. And so anyway, I'm coming up on the end of this video in 10 seconds, and I just want to to all you guys, hang in there. It's all cool. Just stay in your hearts, be love. See you later. Bye, guys.